You can move around a little because, you know, I'm not so small, but you're a big guy, so we can move around a little bit. Otherwise, you're too close together.
Oh,
too close together.
Well, you know, if something happens, you want to, you know, you never know where this panel goes to, right? So what we didn't decide, actually, who will start first. So, Martin, I'm going to start out with you. Could you shortly introduce yourself? Not start on the topic, because you have a lot of time on that, but specifically, who are you, and what do you do at Uniserver?
I'm Martin Olij, Commercial Director of Uniserver.
Very short and sweet. Thank you. Thank you for being here, Martin. Ludo.
Ludo Baauw, the Group CEO of Intermax Group and founder of the Open Cloud Alliance.
Wow.
Amongst many other
Amongst many other things. Yes. Yes. Simon.
Right, Simon de Jong, Ministry of Economic Affairs. There I work as a policy advisor in the Digital Economy Department, working on mostly European legislation around all kind of digital topics.
All right. Eric.
My name is Eric Smit. I'm founder of a platform of investigative journalism called Follow the Money, and since shortly a platform for a big tech hunting dog called The Firewall. And started crowdfunding 1.5 weeks ago, and well...
You're already a millionaire.
Well, you're a good calculator.
Yeah, you're good, yeah.
That's right.
I know we're going to discuss about are we losing the original spirit of the internet, but also we need to talk about what happened the last couple of days, Eric, because it's been a roller coaster. Talking about, Peter already spoke about it, Solvinity, Kyndryl, everything was happening. Can you touch a little, probably not too much, on your last couple of weeks before we deep dive into the main core and theme of this panel?
Well, I want to touch on base first with the message that just came to us that the American embassy was putting pressure now on our government, which has, you know, been obvious that it has been there all along, and I know that members of our parliament have been pressured by the American embassy, so therefore the more appreciation for the difficult decision they had to make. But it was the inevitable decision, obviously, to make. Otherwise, civilian rights would have been handed over, basically, to a government which is not totally, let's say, friendly towards democracy as such, and the Netherlands maybe in special, especially after the decision of yesterday. We know now the White House is publicly involved, so we will encounter backdraft.
Yeah.
So the last, you know, I mean, the firewall got involved in this case right from early January when, well, when we basically thought of that DigiD, how do you say that in English?
Digital identity? DigiD, that's what, of course.
DigiD. It sounds childish, right? DigiD. Didgeridoo was an issue, and you know, obviously Solvinity was servicing quite a bit more than only DigiD. Sure. At the Ministry of Binnenlandse Internal Affairs, and not last but not least, you know, Ministry of Justitie en Veiligheid.
Justice and Security.
Justice and Security. And so, you know, but it was a great metaphor to as well, because DigiD is obviously something that we hold in our pockets, and every person can understand what the issue is at hand. So we embraced it. It was also a very good issue to involve the public, which was already starting from November approximately onwards. The autographs that were assembled, and the first, you know, public warnings on this possible sale to Kyndryl. And so we started to become involved. The firewall, for all you don't know it yet, is a new kind of platform. It has not only a watchdog function, so that means in traditional sense for journalism that you bring new facts from the dark to the light, you control power, but in this case we will actually hold power actively accountable, which means that we will use our rule of law to do that, and we will sue the bastards in case we need
forget that.
Yeah?
Yes, yeah.
And of course, after very deep research, etc., etc. So a good example of it, for instance, was last weekend when we, in the Dutch newspaper, the Volkskrant, saw an elaborate research into the abuse of politicians on X. So getting back to the DigiD and the firewall, so we will. This obviously there's two levels of where we're going to get involved. That is digital infrastructure and media. Basically, there's lots of different sub levels and categories, but let's keep it to that. And so yesterday, obviously, we had the message that our State Secretary. Decided that this sale was not going to happen, which is a very sane decision. My compliments. Probably prepared by you.
Partly, my colleagues, yes.
But beforehand, I was very critical, because the bureau, which was researching it, and the whole actually the way that it's done is completely opaque. So there's no information about whatever being communicated by BTI, that's just doing the research on these kind of matters. And there's no way that civilians can get involved, which is a very strange construct, if you ask me. Because obviously this is something you want to get involved in. You want to have an opinion about if this is happening the right way. You want to control the flows of information, etc., in the file. So that's what we started on.
Can I respond to that?
Yeah, sure.
All of you want to respond? So,
no, not really.
No.
And the Ministry of Economic Affairs was kicking the can forward all the time until yesterday.
Okay.
But there's a good reason why foreign investment screening isn't public, and that has to do with the geopolitical context, right? So it is really balancing,
right?
This decision and trying to keep everybody happy.
The laws that were there before before the election of Donald Trump. So basically, all of a sudden, it's all secrecy, and there's also different levels of secrecy. So there's international diplomacy, of course. I respect that issue. You keep that secret, but there's also many different kinds of level of information that can be shared. But the whole system of BTI is constructed in that way that everything is behind doors, closed doors, which is
let's talk about
we're not. Ludo, and as I understand, the sale was blocked based on a threat to public safety or something very vague. Or the public interest would be a danger for the public interest. So again, that poses the question: what is public interest? And even that is not specified, which is good, because then we can shove everything under that premise. Yeah.
But
and since we're just small tech and not big tech, we are not afraid for Eric.
No, but asking the question...
We're not afraid of you.
No, Ludo, but asking the question is answering the question, right? So how would you respond to that question?
Well, obviously, public interest is something that is in the eye of the beholder. And if you look specifically at the law that was being used to prohibit this sale, there are 5 articles in de wet ongewenste zeggenschap telecom, de WOZT, de WOZT. You have to Google that one. So there are 5 different levels in which a sale can be blocked, and I think that 2 or 3 would apply to this sale. But the weird thing is, and then I agree with Eric, I think that there are many sales that have already been done to China, to Israel, to US, which could have been blocked by this law. But there's been a significant change, which is good. But we'll never know exactly why.
True.
But, well, maybe.
Before I know you want to respond, Eric, but Martin. I know this is a different discussion, of course.
I wasn't saying anything.
No, not yet, but I know you.
Not yet.
You're allowed.
No, Martin, from a Uniserver point of view, of course, you have your own personal opinion, as you're a citizen of this amazing country,
Sure.
but you're also Chief Commercial Officer of one of the most successful Dutch data center companies in the Netherlands, right? How do you look at everything what is happening in the market currently? And you're standing, of course, next to Ludo, I understand that, but what do you, from your perspective, look at this?
I think it's not the thing only about the DigiD. That's happening right now, and we realize right now that maybe is an issue for us as a citizen of the Netherlands. But next to that, you have to realize by yourself, even if you're a commercial company or whatever, what are you willing to take as a risk? 10 years ago, I think nobody has had any idea of the fact that it should be an issue to put your data in wherever. And nowadays we realize maybe there is somebody in the US or in China who can do anything with their data, and that maybe is an issue. And of course, the government in the Netherlands now make use of a rule to protect us in the Netherlands from getting it to Kindrel. But next to that, if you are a commercial company and you are a customer of Solvinity, for example, you didn't have that rule to take. So you have to realize by yourself, where is your data and how relevant is that to you?
Yeah. Well, we know after the election of Donald Trump, things get certainly changed. So, I mean, that's where companies, smart companies, change to. So they have to keep the environment.
I think after the election, it's become visible, but we already knew.
Except Vitruvium, the partners at Vitruvium, the company that actually was a major shareholder in Solvinity, that were so stupid to not do a good risk assessment of selling this company to Kindrel. They could have sold it to a Dutch company.
Yeah, sure.
That is dumb. So if I were a partner of an investor in Vitruvium, I would sue the partners because they made.
But maybe they're
going to lose money on this sale.
There's going to be a lot of suing, people. A lot of suing going on.
Sue the hell.
This is exactly the point. Somebody made a decision that it's relevant or better to put the data somewhere at the company who is owned by external people. In this, it's British right now, I think.
British, yeah.
But that doesn't matter.
Yeah.
But Ludo said already, we are small tech, but we are Dutch.
Yeah.
And that's then the difference. So you can choose. And I think nobody or too less people realize that there is an option even to choose. And then put your money where your risk is, or protect yourself from the risk. So it's possible.
Yeah. Simon, for you, you're of course working. I'm not going to put you on the spot.
He's on the spot already. That's why you invited him.
You want to put him more on the spot, Eric? Come on.
I think there is some precedent here in the sense that maybe it wakes up some people, and indeed what has been mentioned before you even think about foreign investment screening, there's a decision before that, right? For your own company, for, okay, what is important? We're talking about resilience a lot today. And this case has helped to put this topic again on the agenda. And I think that is also still something we need to do. Everybody in this audience already knows, but in a broader society, I think our digital resilience topics are not on the highest point on the agenda. So this can help with that.
Yeah.
So if we come,
Eric, shall we go?
But I like to hook on him because the whole thing with BTI and the closeness is about this topic. The safe and resilient digital future is not just about the safety of companies. Because if you inform as a journalist and you go ask, I want information, then lots of that information, probably 90 to 100%, is sealed off because sensitive company information. Sensitive company information is contradictory, in this case, to sensitive civilian information, obviously, we were about to hand out to Americans. So I think the whole thinking at the Ministry of Economic Affairs should be civilians more up first instead of companies. And that is maybe not such a neoliberal assessment, but that's what needs to change now we've passed this point. I think, and so, also in constructing companies.
What should we do differently then?
Well, I mean, you have to look at the whole basis of a company. Ownership is something mandatory to look at. So if you're delivering, I think, a public service through your company, then you have to look at types of ownership that level with that. So if you're not offering a complete public service So I was a founder of a public service, because journalism is a public service, and we have developed a kind of steward ownership. That means that we never can sell our company to a company that's not involved in the same kind of mission, and we have a limited profits on a limited amount of money we can pay to our shareholders. Everything else is kept for the company. So these are a couple levels for steward ownership, I would say. So I think that's one way of looking at it.
Yeah, we're working on it.
Wonderful. So I mean, and that should be something that should be in the DNA also of the thinking of the people at Ministry of Economic Affairs.
Well, actually, they do have a list of companies and institutions that are vital to our society.
Sure.
So that list exists.
Exists, but do they look at ownership and business models?
I think now more than a couple of months ago.
But
if you look to the report Wenning,
yes,
everybody knows.
Yes, of course. I think
everybody knows the report Wenning.
Yeah.
That has nothing to do with that, at all. If it is ownership, or even the word democracy is not even used in the whole report, which is obviously at stake here since the 20th of January 2025.
But the good thing is he's preaching to the choir. So
when I spoke to Eric yesterday,
there's hope.
Early only morning. 5 minutes, huh?
No, it's okay. We of course spoke about the theme of this talk, right? Are we losing the original spirit of the internet? As you can imagine, Eric said, "Okay, Danny, okay, what does original mean?" And how much years do we need to go back to the internet? Which is a valid question, right? And I think if you look now already at the discussion for the last 20 minutes, is this the way we are now looking forward to discuss on our own Dutch strategy, our own choices we are making?
Sure, and it evolves. So you don't know what's going to happen in the future. No. Again, so 10 years ago, we didn't have any idea about what's happening right now. So every day or every month, every year, you should think by yourself, okay, is this what I want? Yeah. So if you are working together with companies or with tech companies, you have to remember by yourself, okay, is this enough? Is this okay? Is the risk okay? Yeah. Is the compliance okay? But if you put it somewhere and you work with a partner for a decade, for example, then something can happen in the end. Yeah.
But now this partner seems not so much a partner.
No.
And perhaps now, looking back,
when the heat is on, in the end, everybody is looking to a contract. Yeah. That's what you see. Yeah. That's even what the government is doing.
Have we been naive, Ludo, in addressing the way
I don't know. I think when they started, it wasn't naive. Okay. Because nobody know or they didn't realize it. So you cannot handle to something you don't realize. No. But what Ludo said, so the last years, at least the last month, you can already see what's happening. So then you could think for yourself, is this what I want?
But then you're probably saying that in this phase we're now in, if we maybe look back 20 or 10 years from now to this moment in time, Pakhuizen-Zwijger, 26th of May, 27th of May, that maybe we are really defining a new spirit.
Sure.
But what then should be in this DNA of this new spirit?
Competition.
Competition. Why competition?
Because there's none of it. Because the market of the internet is ruled by monopolists.
Okay.
Yeah. So there's no such thing.
4 or 5. Yeah. You know, when we had the discussion just this week or maybe yesterday about these large oil companies, railroad companies that you had in the US of A, like it was Rockefeller and what's the other one? Oh yeah, Vanderbilt.
JP Morgan.
JP Morgan. So there were 3 guys who pretty much controlled all the infrastructure and the oil and everything. So maybe now we should have that same Vanderbilt is now Mark Zuckerberg and other those other crooks. And maybe we should just split them up so there's more competition.
But are you would you be happy with more competition?
Depends on what you think is the competition. Yeah. I think on the other hand, in the Netherlands, we are not that big with each other. Eh? So, for example, Ludo and I, we are 2, let's say there are 5, 6, 7, 8 companies like us. We can work together, and that's it. So the competition in the Netherlands, I think that's arranged. The question is, why is not everybody overlooking the same things? Are they checking the ownership, for example? Yeah. As long as they don't do it, there's no competition. If you don't ask it, or you don't care, then...
All right. Okay, then one step Simon, back to you. Yesterday, probably already, Nathan du Castel was appointed our new national digital strategist ambassador. So he will run, Art was here a couple hours ago, right? He will run our national digitalization strategy for the coming years. Should we, as a sector, give him, let's start with this word from Eric, right? Should we give him a new set of guidelines from our industry where we should work on this new spirit, on this new culture? Is that where we should work on with him?
Partly, yes. So I think national digital strategy is focused on IT for government, right? So what IT services government using themselves. Here you can see already some changes in public procurement. So sovereignty is becoming one of the, instead of pricing or getting the cheapest bundle, this becomes part of how you decide what you buy. Then the question is, of course, what is sovereignty? Because there's also a lot of sovereignty washing. So if you look under the hood, then so that is changing, and that is a European discussion. I think that's also important to take into account if we. Whatever we want to build, that we don't focus on the Netherlands alone, because then we don't have a chance. And we should do it together, despite our differences in Europe. But I think our actions mostly, also from the ministry and in Europe, are mostly focused on competition, right? So my cluster within the ministry is actually called well-functioning markets and services, digital markets and services. So that's already in the name. And I think also there's a task for companies, both on the building side, so where we can have a lot of discussion about what we should do, but we should actually start building, but also on realizing in your own IT infrastructure, what are my dependencies? Can I easily switch to other companies to really build in this modularity? I think that's very important.
But then back to Eric. But then I feel this sense of urgency when I read what you state online.
You're with me.
I'm with you. But then I feel the way we are structured in the Netherlands from a public-private partnership, the way we are structured from a strategic point of view, our sector, right? And then I think, I understand where you're going, Eric, but the pace, the longevity, but also the sense of urgency you're bringing to the table, how can we manage that?
Well, first of all, to think about what the original spirit of the internet is and what it came to. If we look at the start of the internet, basically the end of the 80s, it started out as with a couple of idealists, and soon, maybe like 1996, when Netscape went to the stock exchange, the IPO, the internet hype was ignited. Then it came about. Gordon Gekko, greed is good. And since then, we've the market, the internet, basically has been completely captured by the Gordon Gekkos of these worlds. And there is hardly any control on that. Not in the United States. The whole assumption was, that these guys do what they want to do, mostly guys, because that's good for innovation, etc. Now that we're facing these colossal companies that should have been taken apart years ago already. So we're already in a very, very, very late stage of trying to do something. So that's the urgency, but it's also something about the original spirit. Spirit originally was about freedom of choice, freedom flow of information.
That's how the internet started.
That's how the internet started, and what nowadays the information flows are dominated by a couple of companies who control it, whose algorithms determine what viewers get to see, and is completely intoxicated by disinformation, hate, etc., and thereby completely undermines our democracy. So that has nothing to do anymore with the original spirit of the internet. On the contrary, so we should reclaim it as civilians, and so the middle should stand up. Now I come to big tech.
Yes. So, but then basically what you're saying is we have lost our original spirit.
Absolutely, yeah.
We need to create a new one.
No, we have to get back to the roots of it. But indeed,
fair enough.
You cannot go back in the sense.
I'll quote you on that. I'll quote you on that. Okay.
The good thing is that why would anyone become a customer with a rather small company compared to Microsoft? And the easiest question is, so if the shit really hits the fan, who are you gonna call? And 100% of our customers have our cell phone number. So you can call day and night. And so the small thing that started the internet, I think I had my first internet connection 35 years ago. Yes, I'm that old. And you could literally call anyone you knew on the internet in the Netherlands because everyone knew everyone. So if you had a problem, you just called your competitor and say, okay, I'm in trouble. And okay, what do you need? I will come and help you. So the original spirit, we've lost the personal touch a little bit. The complicated thing is that if you're really big, then you have options, you have buying power.
Sure.
The bad thing is that you've lost touch with your own customer.
Yeah.
And I think we should bring that back a little bit. And again, preaching to the choir, because if you're sitting here, you're sitting here, you already understand how important connections are, especially when you become an AMS-IX member.
Yeah.
I had to say this.
Yes. Good. Here we go. Yeah.
How do we bring that idea forward, right? Because you're saying, okay, people here already know this, but I'm not sure if it's already that relevant in the public debate.
But the government should lead by example and start buying more in the Netherlands. And because that's the easiest way to sort of generate a little bit of extra revenue, which enables us to innovate a little bit more and say, okay, just let's try this, see if it works. Because now we have to be very careful with our money. Because we have a very important and responsible job. Yeah. And we should keep the internet up and running. So we have to be careful, but still innovate. Yeah. And it's a little bit complicated to do both. So if the government is willing to help us invest a little bit more, and invest, I mean...
just start small.
Yeah, start small.
The government is always thinking, we assign somebody, there's coming a paper out, and then after a year there's a strategy, and then there is a tender of 200 million in the market.
Yeah.
Ludo and I cannot handle that, because we are privately owned. So for us it should be a little bit smaller than a few hundred million to start with. And then you can see that it's okay to work with us. We are not that strange to work with. So if you stay with Microsoft or AWS or whatever, then you stay over there. If you move a little bit, then something is going to happen.
And every euro we spend in the US will never come back, ever. Because we are spending way more euros that over way there than they do with us.
Which is insane.
Which is really insane.
Well,
as an economist, it's insane.
A couple of things before. So what Eric also mentioned, then I will actually open up for questions and turn on the lights, please.
Wants to ask a question and
upsell
his own.
I will do it for Eric. You can go to firewall.eu.
That's right.
And you actually can subscribe as a not member partner. You can
made a standard. Stand up to big tech.
So
you can also donate any kind of money.
So he doesn't
join the fight.
So he doesn't. Eric, stop. So what I'm going to do now? Yes. I see a lot of hands, people. So I need Rick. Where's my Rick? Okay. Another one. Oh, you're not Rick. I'm sorry. We're going to start. I'm sorry. I thought Rick was helping me out. I'm going to start out with you, sir. For who is the question, sir? For who's the question?
Yeah, basically for all four.
For all four? For all four, guys?
I'm Bernard Schepp. I've run around in this community for 40 years, I realized on the 1st of April. And it's my belief that the internet moved from a community-owned, adding value to people and individual on a democratic basis, to a corporate-owned money machine. And I believe we have to go back to that community-owned, because the market, capital, doesn't solve all our problems. On the contrary, it has been changed into a money absorption phenomena instead of generating value. And I want to raise the role of the government in this, because the government, by being non-transparent in their acquisition proposition, being non-transparent about the trade agreement we have with the Americans, which is a very simple one. We respect your intellectual property by giving our manufacturers access to US consumers. Now, they didn't keep that part of the bargain because they imposed trade tariffs. So why do we honor their intellectual property licensing agreements in the first place? And I think the government has to play a crucial role here, and they're doing the opposite. If you look at the roads contracts, there are hundreds of millions, and the requirements to companies participating in this eliminates any local participants for bidding to those contracts. You have to be 25 years in existence, 5,000 employees, a revenue of billions, then you can compete.
Okay. Bernard, I'm gonna stop you.
Yeah.
Because I'm just trying to understand, is there...
He can't help it, he's in sales.
No, it's okay, but I feel
he's in sales.
No, but I feel his energy, but I was just wondering, is there a question coming up?
Yeah,
I'm just wondering, guys, I'm just here...
Yeah, why is it so difficult for the company, for the government to be transparent? Why are you blacklisting every open request from any journalist? Why are you not disclosing the difficulties you have around DigiD?
So Simon, this is what.
We'll give him
we will
some
leave
space.
the stage. Yes. So, thank you, Bernard. Thank you, Bernard. So Simon, if you're not feel comfortable in answering this question, there are journalists next to you.
Let him give him some time to think about it. So I have one particular point. I want to. You started your monologue basically with the interpretation of how the internet back in the early days was. So, and I think, yes, of course, there's a lot of good things about the original spirit. Of course, there's a lot of good. So, but there's also a lot of good about entrepreneurial activity on the internet. That's you cannot say that hasn't brought us a lot of affluence in the last 30, 40 years. So I would say we need to get back to a kind of other type of entrepreneurial activity, which is obviously done already here in the Netherlands. And address that and point it out, talk about it, and embrace that type of entrepreneurial activity. So, so now you know.
Well, and I think we are also involved in that conversation, right? So
you are. Yes.
That is the way to go. I think if you look at the spirit of the internet and become very nostalgic, like we have to do it exactly like it was before, and that is unrealistic, but we can take the good parts of the past and put it in 2026, right? That is my first answer. And on the other question, it's above my pay grade. I'm sorry, man.
Excellent answer.
So there's more. There's 4 more people. So yes, sir. I cannot see you. You're in the black light.
Amazing from the shadows. So
Can you speak up, sir? And for who's the question?
Tobias Wiewig, TU Wien, speaking for myself and not my affiliation. Question for the panel. So, but especially our partners from industry. So I made these funny propositions on an internet for a burning world, and one of them is centralization and profit are inherently incompatible with care for infrastructures. Yet, when you talk about what you need from the government, funds to be innovative, that for me kind of sounds like a money-driven solution to this problem to make the same thing which we are getting from the US, only made in Europe. Why is your approach not to try to focus on providing service with care that does these things that the cattle approach of the large platforms cannot provide to customers?
But we're already doing that.
Yeah, so it's not about funds. We don't need a fund. We have the services. The question to the government is, can you make the request smaller? Like Bernard said, so not make it too big, because we are not 5,000 people, we are not a billion revenue company, so if that's the requirement to meet, then we out-qualified in the Netherlands. So then you are going to a US company. So if you make it smaller, then we deliver services, so there is no issue over there.
Sorry.
Only the size is too big.
But these discussions are taking place as is. But I do understand your point, sir.
Yeah.
Good point. Good point.
Valid point.
Okay, I think I'm going to take two more, Tessa. One more. Wow.
Whoa.
I see a lot of hands, people. You're in the middle, sir. Could you just stand up? Is that okay? And just, for who's the question, sir?
Hi, my name is Marijn Keizer, and I think it's going to be mostly for Eric.
For Eric?
But I heard Ludo talking about the robber barons and comparing towards the robber barons, which I think is an interesting comparison to what we're seeing today. And then the solution was, let's break it up. That's what Eric suggested.
True.
What I was wondering is, in the geopolitics right now, you see that companies are more and more aligned with governments and basically almost going to war together.
Yeah.
And in that situation, as a government, it's not very pleasant to have very small companies because might comes with strength. So how do you see that dynamic? Because I don't see the US government going to break up, as they see their companies in competition with the large Chinese and other Indian entities. So I like the principle, but I think the
regulate the hell out of them.
Exactly. So I mean, I think it's a good observation that to see that economic power has intertwined with political power. If you look at, I could give you a good book suggestion. It's called The Crisis of Democratic Capitalism, written by Martin Wolf, the foremost economic analyst of Financial Times. It's been published in 2022. And it has that analysis, exactly. So the intertwinement of political and economic power brings our system to the brink of the abyss, you know, so on the edge of the abyss. We're facing now that it actually falls apart. Our system works if these powers are separated, and then there's a balance of powers, and then democracy can function. Now we've seen in the United States it's gone completely intertwined. Seeing the cooperation of the big tech with the White House and the blatant corruption of the family Trump. So we have facing the same development here already in Europe for the last. I would say 3 decades, slowly, bit by bit. And so we need to get a strong government, indeed, a good legislation. We need to get good politicians who actually see what the hell is going on. And of course, good regulators who are having, dare to be hard hitters. Yes. The laws are there, they're not regulating.
Yes. So if you haven't taken a picture of this amazing panel, to be honest, people, this was probably one of the best since a long time. So make a picture now, #MoreMP. But first of all, give a warm applause to Eric, Simon, Ludo, and Martin. Thank you. Thank you, guys. Barbara says hello,